Hello, everybody. Welcome to the New York Tech Meetup. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. If you could make your way to your seat, that would be greatly appreciated. And my two favorite students right here in the front. Thank you. Good deal. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Doug Bennett. I'm the director of the New York Tech Alliance, and welcome to the New York Tech Meetup. Before we get started, I have a few announcements to share. Please know that we record our events for anyone unable to attend this evening. Recordings are posted on NYTA's YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our channel and view this and past recordings by going to youtube.com/NYTechAlliance. For anyone joining us for the first time, the New York Tech Alliance is a nonprofit dedicated to serving this and strengthening the New York Tech community. At the core of our mission is a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes, thank you. Ensuring that New York's tech ecosystem remains the most diverse, dynamic in the world. We work to lower barriers and increase access to the knowledge, resources, and connections people need to grow and thrive. All right. So tonight, I'd like to welcome, and let's see here. I'd like to welcome some special guests. With us this evening is Professor Laurie Olivier, Director of Engineering Entrepreneurship, College of Engineering at Villanova University. And she's here with several of her students. Can you guys raise your hands? Where are you? Awesome. Give them a big welcome. Thanks, guys, for getting on the train and being with us tonight. And when you have a moment, please say hello to them and make them feel welcome, okay? Let's see. I'd like to thank our annual sponsors. Do we have our annual sponsors? Okay. There they are. Thank you. Who help make events like this one possible. Each has a presence on our website. You can learn more about them and how they support our community by going to nytech.org/sponsors. And special thanks to the team here at Civic Hall who, yes, thanks, who make everything possible for this event. In case you're not aware, Civic Hall occupies floors 2 through 7 of this building. It's about 85,000 square feet. And there's 3 things that go on here. The first is digital skills training to help a wide variety of people get trained, certified, and on a path to jobs in the tech industry. The second is meetings and events that primarily take place on floors 2 and 3, and then membership for both individuals and organizations where people can come here and co-work and be part of a great community. Tonight, Civic Hall is offering everybody here a 1-month free trial membership. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, you can scan the QR code up on the screen. We'll give you a sec to do that. And we'd love to see you more often and be part of our community here, okay? All right. Next slide. And last couple of items. We love and welcome support to help us and produce and deliver our programming. 3 ways you can help include attend as many events as you can, become an individual or corporate member, or an annual or event sponsor, or simply make a donation. You can do so by going to nytech.org/support_NYTA. And we're always curious about what's on your mind. Your opinions, your thoughts, recommendations, and feedback are all welcome. You can easily do so by scanning the QR code up on the screen. It's super easy, there's nothing to download, and you can provide answers in video, voice, or text. So I'll give you a sec to do that. We also have a word cloud up on the side wall, and tonight's question is, what's your favorite game in the world? So there's a third QR code. They're all there everywhere tonight. So scan it and let us know what your favorite game is. All right. Okay, so how many of you are attending a New York Tech Meetup for the first time? Okay, quite a few of you. All right, so all of you joining us for the first time, our meetups are all about the tech and the market opportunities each company is addressing. It's not about the business model or the revenue model. Those conversations can be had afterwards during the networking time and after party. So during the Q&A, following each demo, please keep your questions focused on the tech and the problem or opportunity it's addressing. Otherwise, you're likely to get booed, okay? All right. And I know you guys will be the loudest of booers over here. All right. With that, tonight we've partnered with some amazing organizations in the gaming space. We've got with us NYCEDC in the house, Coexist Gaming, Gumbo Collective, International Game Developers Association, NYC, and Playcrafting. Each will have a few minutes to share info about their respective organizations, followed by an intro to the amazing people who are here to demo their products. Each company will have up to 4 minutes to demo, up to 4 minutes of audience Q&A, and a minute or two to pose an ask offer to you all. Following the demos, we typically invite a few people from the audience to the stage to pose your own ask offer. Given how much we have going on tonight, we'll play it by ear and see if we have time for that. So we'll monitor that. All right. All right, with that, I'd like to welcome Sonia Park. Where is she? There she is. VP of Industry Innovation at NYCEDC. Sonia made all of this possible a couple months ago when she approached and said, hey, let's do a gaming meetup. And I said, okay, let's do it. And here we are. So Sonia, thanks for being here, and take it away.
Thanks, wow, music. Thanks, Doug. I'm so excited to be here. As Doug mentioned, we have been in communication for quite some time, and like many of you, we started working in the gaming industry. Well, you didn't start in the gaming industry a couple of years ago, but EDC started investigating the gaming industry a couple of years ago. And so I'm excited to be here with IGDA, Game Devs of Color, Playcrafting, Coexist, and Gumbo to present New York City's gaming industry to everyone and connect the dots with the New York Tech Alliance. For those of you who might not be familiar with New York City's Economic Development Corporation, we are the economic development agency responsible for projects such as Civic Hall and this building. We work very closely with the teams to build this incredible building and offer those amenities to the tech industry. And we're really responsible. We do a lot to connect dots with all of these great organizations, but also with New Yorkers. Additionally, we've worked very closely with the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. Aaliyah is here. In case any of you are not familiar, please reach out to her and ask her about the awesome events and programs she's developing, like the Battle of the Boroughs that's really turned into a festival of games that will happen on May 31st. Outside of these awesome programs that we create, we also launched in December a video gaming incubator called the Game Design Future Labs. And we're really excited to announce the program cohort in a couple of weeks and get the program started. And so with these different types of programs, like building infrastructure, spaces, and providing supports to grow industry, we're really excited to be here tonight, connecting all these dots and bringing communities together so that we can all learn from each other and make New York City a gaming hub for all of us. And with that, I'll pass it over to Amit, who is going to speak about the International Game Developers Association.
Hi guys, I'm Amit. I am the co-chair of IGDA NYC. The IGDA is the International Game Developers Association, and I'm on the board of the New York City chapter. It is a nonprofit organization, and it is primarily run by volunteers. Our mission is to become the central hub for New York City developers, connecting game makers, building community, and empowering careers through collaboration, growth, and opportunity. Our core values fall into 3 general buckets: community and connection, growth and education, and visibility and opportunity. For community and connection, we've been hosting 1 to 2 events every single month, networking events, educational events, and our goal with these events are just to get game developers in a room, meet people who they would not otherwise meet, and maybe they might collaborate or learn from each other. We're also partnering with NYU Game Center, Playcrafting. We're speaking with Gumbo and all the other great game dev focused organizations in New York City. They are all doing such a great job for their members and for game developers. Sometimes it can feel, though, because New York City is so big, it's very easy to get siloed or be in a silo. And so we're not trying to add to the list of organizations. We're trying to be the glue that, brings together everybody, brings together all these organizations at the end of the day. And finally, we've been growing our online community on Discord. We are very close to hitting 1,000+ members. This helps us with online presence and discoverability. For growth and education, starting next month, we are going to host monthly educational talks from expert developers from the industry. They will be at Coexist. Thank you so much, Jay, for that. We will also be launching a collaborative citywide job board with our partner organizations. The idea is that if we all contribute to it, we will all benefit more than we put in. And so I'm very excited to get that started. And finally, we are running the go-to newsletter for anything New York City game dev related, whether it's games, events, general news. It is not just a newsletter for IGDA members. It is free to everybody. We want everyone to be able to use it. And it is certainly not about IGDA game members. We want to be as inclusive as everyone as we possibly can. Finally, we have visibility and opportunity. We launched an event in January called Gameapalooza. So Gameapalooza is an event where developers showcase their in-progress or recently released games to a large audience, including gamers and game developers. And starting at our summer Gameapalooza, we will also have investors, publishers, and journalists at these events. You can help support us. You can partner with us on events and programs. Anything that fits with our core values, we're open to working with. You can help us with sponsorships, or if you have any, or know someone who might venue spaces to host our events, or you can make a one-time or recurring donation to us. So our links to donate, subscribe to the newsletter, and check us out on social media are on the board. That is it from the IGDA, New York City. My next guest is someone I've known for quite a short while, and in that time, I very quickly realized that he is one of the most talented, humblest, kindest visionaries that I've ever met. And so I would like to welcome to the stage Mike and his game Vivarium.
All right, hey, so I'm Mike Fegris. I'm a New York-based animator, and I've been working in the biz for about 10 years, working in games and animation. And this is Vivarium, so this is a game I've been working on. So let's take a look. So I put images of 10 of the biggest media properties on the screen. And you probably recognize at least a few of them, right? So what's the theme here? Does anybody know? They're all from Japan, right? So, and personally, I love Japanese animation and games, and they've continued to grow, and I think they're rapidly becoming a global language. And they're not just imported cultural products. They're stories and fantasies that really speak deeply to who and what we are, right? And though they weren't made here, we still have a history with them. And I think that they provoke a deep sense of lost nostalgia in us. And especially now, when I think what feels like kind of a reaction to this intensely chaotic world that we're in right now. So this phenomenon is pretty interesting. Can we make something that emotionally engages with this global audience? And can we speak to a need here? So the question for me was, could I, with my animation background, make something in the medium of games that speaks to this international audience raised on Japanese media, and something that was respectful and authentic to this source? The problem is games usually look like this, which is cool, but they look like that, or they look like this, and they might look like this, right? But I wondered, could I make one that looked like this? Or something that felt like this? Or something that moved me like this did? So let's take a look at the game. You can tell me what you think. Oops.
Somewhere off in rural America, there's a missing terrarium that's been lost and forgotten. But on the inside of the jar, secretly, quietly, and modestly, the sun is rising. Over a world nobody knows exists. Filled with places nobody's ever been to. Hiding mysteries in a town of people nobody remembers. So let's grow together and explore a hidden world and make the most of our lives in Vivarium.
So that's Vivarium, and so that's not just a movie. That is something, that is a world you can run around in, you can touch, you can be in, and it all takes place in this little terrarium, right, with all these nostalgic Japanese kind of inspired characters and objects and things. And so the game is a cozy role-playing game, and it's got this cool daily mechanic where you play it once per day of your real life, and the story in this little terrarium is evolving every day, right? So think about it a little bit like New York Times crossword or Wordle, where the story is kind of growing, and you play it kind of like a book club, where you get to talk about it with your coworkers and stuff. And so you can see we've used the Unity engine to make something that is highly authentic to classic analog animation. And so we're ironically using some high-tech solutions to make something that looks, pairing that with all of our drawings and paintings and things like that to make it look really authentic and to play in this world. And we didn't want to just create something that copied Japanese media. We wanted to be in active dialogue with our international relation to it. So the game also has a twist to it. Something at the center of this picturesque, nostalgic world seems to be rotting it from the inside out. And in playing Vivariums, I really want players to seriously reflect on the times that we're living in and what media we're using to cope with it. And then the next slides we'll come back to for the ask. So thank you so much. Questions? Yeah, what's up?
Thank you, guys. Whoa, that's a very strong microphone. My bad. Just want to know where's your team located?
Right. So our team is most of our team is based here in New York. So right in Brooklyn, and then Rochester as well. And so we're planning to go with the Made in New York program. We're also working with the publisher Serenity Forge. So they're a great narrative games publisher. They work with a lot of emotional games. So they've published over 80 games, like narrative games. And so they're based in Boulder, so we'll be working kind of remotely with them on the publishing front. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Quick question for you. You said the game evolves every day. How many cycles are included in that evolution of each day?
Right, so we're expecting, so players can actually take this at their own pace. So we're expecting somebody who's playing this quickly will probably finish in about 15 or to 20 real-time days. And you can skip, you don't have to be there religiously every day. You can miss days. But the idea is kind of, another player might take more like 30 to 45 days or longer just as a completionist to see everything and see all the stories. But the idea with this is to really space it out. So we actually don't want players to binge this game. I think there's so much binge culture in games right now, and we want it to be more like, your favorite classic TV show that you would get excited for, right? And you'd wait for the next one to come out, the next episode. You'd go back to work or go to school and talk about it the next day. So that's kind of like this book club feeling we're curating with it. Thanks.
Hi there. So you mentioned there is a finishing, there is some type of finality. What is the final objective of the game? When do you win or complete?
Right. So with the game, as you play over time, as you're starting to kind of discover more about the mysteries of the world and what's really going on here, there's a tree that's growing in the center. And so the more kind of core mysteries and objectives you're breaking through, this tree is getting larger and larger. And then when it gets at its full stage, that's when the finale begins. And I won't spoil that part. You'll have to play the game. But we've got some really exciting plans. Yeah, in the front, you had a question. Yeah.
Hi, what stage are you in the development and release cycle?
Yeah, so right now we are, so we have a complete vertical slice, and then I'll have it out later tonight. So if people want to play it, you can also just email me for requests. So we have a vertical slice that's complete that kind of shows a big chunk of the world and what's going on in it and how it plays. And so right now we are, our next step is going into kind of like alpha development where we finish the core content, and then we go into beta where we really polish everything up. Thank you for your question.
Hi. So when you pitched this to Serenity Forge, what parts of this project resonated with them?
Yeah, so with Serenity Forge, they're really building this kind of aesthetic where this is what the co-founder said to me. He wants to make games that are more like chicken soup for the soul, which I loved. And so they have a lot of horror games in their catalog right now, and they're kind of looking to. They're kind of like, they were telling me like, we've done this, we're kind of getting older, we want to make something that's like emotional and like really touching people and connecting with people in this moment in time. So they really felt like it clicked on that front.
Thank you.
And they love the anime graphics. I think that's all the time we got for questions. So jump to ask. Yeah, so here's just some of our flipping amazing team that we have, and I'm so excited about. We've got Tony Lee, who was the lead developer on Disco Elysium. It's an amazing RPG. We've got Jenny Wyndham, who curates the Wholesome Games community. And then we've got my friend Elena, she works on a bunch of Sega. So she animates like Sonic, Super Monkey Ball games, stuff like that. So just like a lot of great animators. We have Miho Hattori doing music. So she was one of the original Gorillaz on the Beastie Boys, Chibo Mata. So we have a really, really cool cast. Greg Kirkhope is working with the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra, which he did on games like Donkey Kong and Viva Pinata and stuff like that. So we have an awesome cast of developers and artists that we want to bring on for this project and that are currently on with us, right? And so right now, Serenity Forge is covering quality assurance, porting to different systems like mobile, marketing, all that front, and as well as some internal development. And what we're asking, so we're looking to be connected with the right partner, perhaps you or somebody else that you know that might be the right person for this, to help us cover the $2 million core development cost to hire the folks on to get this finished up and bring it to market, and to have this kind of special game that we really care a lot about get made. So that's the ask. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce Kat. She is the director of Game of Expo. They do some really awesome things, and I can't wait for you to hear from her. So welcome to the stage, Kat.
Wow. Hello. Hi, wonderful people. I'm Kat Small. I'm one of the founders and the executive director of the Game Devs of Color Expo. It is an annual event that is actually going to be in its 10th year as of this September, which is wild to say. It's wild. Our mission is to amplify the creative power held by people of color in games, and we do this by organizing revolutionary events. We unite our vibrant community, and we build access to knowledge, funding, and opportunities. So our annual event that I just mentioned is one of the main ways that we do this. So it's a virtual conference that celebrates the talent of our worldwide community, but it was actually originally founded in New York. So we have strong roots here. We love New York City, and we are going to actually also be hosting an official watch party as part of this year's event here for the second year, so please stay tuned for that. We are currently looking for speakers, so applications close this Friday for people who might want to submit a talk about the game development process. We take all kinds of talks about whether it's building your game, marketing your game, audio, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're interested in that, you can actually apply to speak over there, or you can come find me after this, and I'm happy to also nerd out about that together. We are also, of course, looking for people to show their games, and so applications open for that this Friday as well. So applications will close for the speakers and then open for the games. So if you want to be a part of our Direct, for example, which is our announcement of new awesome gaming trailers, gameplay, etc., that is going to roll out as part of the expo this September, and we usually partner with awesome groups like Twitch, IGN, et cetera, so you will get your game seen for sure if you work with us. So another thing I wanted to mention before I introduce the awesome creator that we are highlighting here today is that the expo is actually operated by a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is based in NYC. And in addition to the expo, we also offer game development grants in partnerships with organizations such as the New York City Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, shout outs to Aaliyah, who's right there, and lots of other organizations as well. And we have given over $400,000 to game developers of color since we started running that program. Yeah, so it's been sweet. So that really means a lot to me as a person who is, in fact, a game developer of color. And then other things that we also do is we help game devs access other industry events such as GDC. So we actually sent a variety of people this year, and we've been doing that for several years at this point as well. So that's huge. We give them travel stipends, and we help them to just get acclimated to the gaming industry. And we also finally share past year's talks on our YouTube page. So if you search for Game Devs of Color Expo or GDOC Expo on YouTube, you'll find us, and you will be able to see the wealth of content that, and the wealth of knowledge, really, that our creators share. And so with that, I'm really excited to present Teresa Leung's game, and it's going to be with the title Form 360. You'll learn a lot more about this soon, but essentially Teresa comes from a background that combines digital and physical experience design with narrative, and we at Game Devs of Color really believe in the power that games have to transform minds, so that's why Teresa's project is so meaningful to us. And I'm going to pass it to Teresa to share more. Yay!
Thank you very much, Kat. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks, Doug, and thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. So, as you heard, my name is Teresa Leung, and I'm going to take you through a project that I'm working on with my company, Form 360. But first, wanted to just take the level down a notch, perhaps, and also provide a content warning. So, this is a social impact game and an experience, and it is about intimate partner violence. So, intimate partner violence, unfortunately, affects 1 in 3 women throughout the world. In the United States, that's about 50 million of us. That's a lot of people, right? And so, Bought Broken, the first product, is really about a VR healing and art and therapeutic experience. So, it's taking objects from survivors that were broken during the relationship, and it's healing them through virtual kintsugi, which is like the Japanese art of ceramics, putting it together and using virtual gold. There's a soundscape that evolves as the pieces are put together. Now, it's one thing, of course, for me to describe this, right? But why don't we take a look?
It's been 3 years since I left, and now I'm doing just fine.
So as you can hear, it's a meditative experience, right? And it's a healing experience. So even though we're taking it down a notch, there's joy and there's agency for survivors who participate and allies who participate in this experience. The music is actually composed of, let's see, it's ambisonic sound. It's composed by a survivor and a creative technologist. So what else? Well, we're also looking at integrating generative AI, because there's this sense now using things potentially like Shape-E, where we're looking at speech to 3D object, right? So this happens to be an object generated, 2D object generated through AI. But as you can see, unfortunately, cell phones are one of those objects that are broken very often in relationships. This is just one example of many examples of objects that I won't know about and you might not know about. But the survivor will have agency to participate in this collective healing project. So we have recognition from the game and the advocacy community. You could see some of the names here. We have tested with a nonprofit called Womankind and also one called Day One New York that deals with teen dating violence. So we've both worked with student participants as well as those who are survivors and clinical social workers. So you don't just take it from me, there's some feedback that we received, right? So there's an uplifting part of this too, right? That the experience is like meditation, but also that it is difficult, right? So we also have support from the New York City Mayor's Office to End Domestic and Gender-Based Violence. And what I'm hoping is we're also looking at the 17 SDGs, that's the Sustainable Development Goals, and there's number 5, which is to end gender-based violence. And then on the list of potential partners, we're looking for hopefully people like you, if this is of interest, as well as looking at medical providers. So what's next? We want to reach more people. We want to get the platform out to XR, web, and Android, right? iOS and Android. We want to provide other people. There were survivors of domestic violence. They're also interested in this experience. We have a great team, still building. And here's my ask. Sorry for the feedback. So the ask is, if this resonates with you in some way, if you could please talk to me, and we also have Eric Micah's here, who's a technical advisor. If you could talk to us afterwards. Now, I understand that in other environments too, this is such a sensitive topic that you may not want to talk to me afterwards. So after can also mean sending a text, sending me an email, and we can set up a time privately to speak. But with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to answer questions. Microphone is there. Thank you.
So can you walk through the creative process of producing this community experience?
Sure. I could walk through how we're thinking about it right now, but also knowing that it may pivot. The way it started was thinking about it, building it through Unity, and also doing a version through WebXR, right? But in terms of making an impact, there are various ways to make an impact. One is through an installation and through a more public setting, right? Another is through a headset, a very intimate setting. And the other would be iPhone, right, or Android, with the use of a therapist. So in terms of how we've been thinking about plotting out the process, right, is we're doing discovery, right? I like to think of the 4 Ds, discovery, design, develop, deploy. And so the discovery portion we're still in right now, which is listening to people. We do have a prototype. But we want to listen to more people now to understand even better what is it that will both be healing and will be meditative, right? And to provide agency to the user. I hope that answers your question.
It certainly does. Thank you.
Thank you. For a project like this, I see a lot of potential in like this AI space, being able to identify, because each of us have our own personal traumas, and everything is so personal what you're showing here. So I wonder, how much have you guys explored using AI as a way to personalize that experience for the people who want to dive into this experience?
Yeah, so we're in the initial stages. As mentioned, there are some tools and models that are out there, right, that are allowing you to generate from voice to object, 3D object. But we also know that there's some research out there in terms of using chatbots, right, or using AI as a therapeutic tool, and that has been controversial in terms of when do you want to work with the provider, right? AI is not a substitute for the therapist. What will happen in a few years, we do have to figure that out. So we are looking for people to partner with who are interested in exploring that opportunity, both the risks and the opportunities with working with AI. Yep.
Hi, so I'm curious because obviously this is focused on objects. It's not really about the object. So I was wondering beyond this, because something like a broken phone, a phone is very replaceable, and what it's really about is the thing that caused the break, right? And so I'm wondering, is there an option for it? Let's say, part of the healing modality is gardening in a virtual space. Is there a possibility of it going beyond objects? Because obviously it's not about material goods, right? It's more about maybe the memory or if it's something valuable that was broken, I can see the reason. But I would love to see this sort of expand to other sort of meditative healing activities, and I don't know if that was already planned, so forgive me if I'm, stealing the punchline there. But thank you so much for this. This is really powerful, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. So whatever we can do to support you, I just want to say thank you for doing this in the first place. It's magical. Okay, yeah, thanks.
Could I answer that quickly? Okay, great. Thank you very much. So, yes, the answer is yes, we've thought about it. There was one iteration where it's a working title, but is it bought, broken, and beyond? For some of you, you might be acquainted with a game called Where Thoughts Go. It's a VR game where you could speak your thoughts. So we are thinking about, though, in terms of the 4Ds, right? Where within the process, when does that user get to talk about whether it's emotional abuse or if it's beyond and you've moved forward as you're talking about gardening? Is there something that then you want to share to build within the ecosystem? So we don't have the answer yet, but we know that it's something that's on the the roadmap.
Thank you
sure.
so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time. I look forward to chatting later.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa. I really appreciate you for sharing your really impactful game today. And I look forward to seeing its continued progress and how it helps people on their healing journey. So now, as a Brooklyn-based game developer, I am very overjoyed to have the pleasure of passing the mic to the next speaker, or I guess this clicker, especially because I was just in New Orleans the other week, so I'm really excited about this. So I'm excited to bring up Yi Zhang from the Gumbo Collective to speak.
I am EE, she, her pronouns, and I am on the board of directors of Gumbo Collective, and I'm having issues with my phone right now. Gumbo Collective is a 501c3 nonprofit based in Brooklyn, and unfortunately we have nothing to do with the soup other than we are kind of a mishmash of game developers that exist in the same space. So that is our mission statement, and you can take a look and read that whole description. But really, what I want to talk about is Gumbo exists because it is freaking hard to make games, and it is very hard to make it in New York City because New York City is an expensive place to exist. And as solo indie developers in New York City, it can be really demotivating or isolating to try to make games on your own and grind for many years to try to put something out there. You might start out super passionate about an idea, but then like 2 years later, are you still going at it with the same fervor? And that is why Gumbo is here, is we all collect and congregate in this shared co-working collective space, and we inspire each other, keep each other accountable and motivated, and just provide feedback and try to get some good games out the door. So most of our ethos is centered around learning and growing together. That means that we want to drive the sustainability and validity of game development in New York City together. We try to be excellent to each other and actively avoid suckiness. And we provide playtesting help to each other as well as the wider game dev community. There are several initiatives that we do to that end. First of all, we have an actual physical co-working space in Brooklyn. So if you haven't been, please come through. We have a lot of events. And as part of that space, we offer very sustainable pricing so that it is affordable and feasible for people to come in and be able to work together. We are largely by devs for devs, which means that we are all volunteer run and nobody gets paid, and we all just kind of put in a lot of sweat equity. The reason it works is because we are all sort of founded on the principle of benevolent self-interest. We make the organization work because we want it to work because it helps us and our projects grow if it works. Other initiatives that we're a part of, I'm just going to quickly go through them, is Gumbo Exchange, where we work with worldwide organizations like Asobu Dev House, Tokyo Indies, Brussels. We work with Glitch City in LA. We have show and tells with Spell Collectivit in Sweden and various other organizations around the country and around the world, just to expand our reach and help other developers and learn from them and share our skills with them. We also work with local educational institutions. You'll see some pictures of when we had students come in to do field trips and check out our devs games, as well as when we go out to other schools in the local area and do presentations there. We are very community-centered, so here you'll see we have fun. We do art, we do games, we eat a lot of food together, we have picnics, and we do a lot of like festivals and cultural events. And like other than social impact, we also just like to keep each other accountable by doing show and tells, playtest nights. We have a weekly Scrum event called Scrumbo, where everyone gets together and talks about their goals for the upcoming week. Again, accountability is everything when you're indie or small. And finally, we care a lot about industry representation. So we try to collect ourselves under the name of Gumbo in order to engage in collective bargaining, to get into showcases for affordable prices, and just for name recognition for us and all of our member game studios. And I think that's the end of my time. So this is Gumbo. We have a Patreon now, which if you click into that, there will be a video that explains more about what we do. And we can also sign up to present at our next event, which is that QR code over there. And now I am super delighted to introduce Valentina and Josh of Wirescribe Games, who are working on my favorite game, I think, at Gumbo, Unwound. It's just stunning, it's odd, it's emotional, and it is just a delightful, surreal experience. So, Valentina and Josh.
Hello, I'm Valentina, and this is Josh, as you already know. And we're working on this game called Unwound. So what is this game? I'm gonna play, can I play that trailer somehow? Okay. Great. All right, so it's just a little gameplay trailer of the game. And what it is, it's actually, I'm just going to let it play and talk later. So Unwound is a little 6 to 8 hour 3D narrative exploration game. It takes place in this kind of strange candy land where everything is ideally perfect. It's an idealistic world. But despite that, the story is actually about some more adult topics like escapism and addiction and empathy and what really drives people, and like it kind of explores those topics. So in this game, you can see your ball of yarn, basically. You start out as an object, and everybody in this game is an object. Like this guy is over here is a broken light bulb. And in this game, you can build yourself by finding things in the world and attaching them to yourself, and that giving you limbs and new abilities to play and talk to people. This game is heavily dialogue-driven, and it also has mini-games. So setting is really important. Unwound takes place in this candy land that really should be ideal. There's no real danger there. There's no hunger. Everybody should just kind of have everything that they want. But as we know, people just kind of like to mess everything up and just kind of create problems for themselves. So in that way, like if you end up in a perfect world, what would you do, right? Would you just kind of like enjoy yourself, or would you like find some friction for yourself? Would you be self-motivated, self-driven, to seek power or some such thing? So you specifically are a bureaucrat and you're on a mission. You work for the government and you're here to find out why earthquakes are destroying a candy mine island, which is a very important, lucrative resource in this setting. So you're here in this world, and you're investigating these earthquakes, and in the process of your investigation, you find there's a cult, and this cult is obsessed with these candy that are like, they give you these strange, consistent visions of a different world where the sky is blue and people for some reason have like the same shape, and there's like green freely things that are kind of big. And then there's like this mystical candy that everybody's searching for, the Serenity Sweet, that promises to make all your dreams come true. And what does this all have to do with earthquakes? Or what does this have to do with even the world that you're in? And there's a deeper story here. And as you play, as the world around you collapses, you have to discover what is actually happening. So the game itself is heavy in exploration. As I said, you find limbs, you find items, and you attach them to yourself. And you talk to people, and the item combinations that you find give you different ways to play. And there's dialogue in the game. It's heavily dialogue-driven. And the limbs that you find, whatever you equip, will change the dialogue, the options that you have. It changes how people talk to you and how you talk to people. And in addition to dialogue, there are mini-games where you can influence people. You can befriend them, you can motivate them, you can seduce them or manipulate them. And that affects your further dialogue and affects how you can complete quests as well. So in this game, the whole loop of the game is that you find limbs and they change how you play the game. And that feeds back into the story, and as the world falls apart and everything collapses, you grow and you build yourself, and you find a way to survive in the world. And you uncover like what is actually happening and why you're here in the first place. All right, time for questions?
Hello? Oh, nobody else is using the chairs, so I figured we should use the chairs, because the chairs are really fun. We have a little time for questions. It could be about anything. We have, mini games to talk about. We have, like, the game world to talk about. I'm Josh. I did a bunch of the programming on the game. Hi. Yeah, in the front.
Hi. My question is in relation to the psychology behind the game. Do you all have any, like, psych backgrounds, and have you tested or spoken to this with psychologists? Because I think it can get dangerous when a person is playing this game.
Yeah, I have a background working in educational psychology, and specifically with games and education, so games that educate about misinformation, disinformation, but also specifically talking about, like, how do you deal with things in society, right? How do you educate people about society? So my perspective on that, I think, hopefully is enough to not let the game get too out of hand, but I think you're absolutely right that we should be taking this to people who can professionally evaluate and showcase and talk about the thing in the context of how does this affect somebody psychologically who is going through this kind of thing, right? Dealing with addiction or dealing with a world that they think is rosy when in reality it's not. And yeah, I think that's something that we're going through the process of and something that we've talked about a lot throughout the process of making this. That's a really good question. Do you have
All right, I have a question as well. I guess, what is the largest technical challenge that you guys have faced while making this game?
Yeah, definitely scope. I think that the original scope of the game was just absolutely massive, and then I think when I got brought on, we redid the whole mini game and just decided on a mini game that was. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So there's the mini game is a big part of it because instead of, I'm not really interested in making a game about combat. That's not really what this is about. But we went through several mini game iterations, and we finally found something that really intertwines well with the. Yeah, intertwines well with with the rest of the game and the narrative as well. The other thing about scope is that the world itself originally was significantly larger, and we found a way to compress it, and kind of by changing the world, the map, keeping the map small but dense, but also changing the map as you go. So the map mutates and presents new challenges and also new things for you to find, without creating a whole lot of new art assets or work for us to make, basically. More questions?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious about the replayability. Is this something that you would want to iterate on over time and create new experiences for, or is this more of a one-off experience for the gamer?
So I mean, for example, the thing that's on the screen now is the mini game that we reworked and worked on like crazy. You have 4 moves at the bottom, and they're all things that you can say, and you get to choose the things that you can say. And based on whether you're mean or whether you're nice, you move left or right, right? And you can choose those things. So for replayability, you can get to multiple different end goals in the middle of a conversation, right? So I guess we have talked about replayability a lot without really thinking about it.
Yeah. We also will have several different endings depending on how you interact with the players and what endings you reach. And they will have meaningful narrative. It's not just we want each of our endings to have very meaningful narrative conclusions. And that's very important to us.
I think that's all our time. Thank you so much, everybody. Y'all are awesome. This is the coolest thing ever. You guys are so nice. Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you so much for hosting. Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Our ask is, so this game is essentially going to be made for PC and consoles, and, ideally with funding. What our ask really is funding. We need about $350,000 to make this game in a reasonable time frame and to be able to bring it to market by end of 2027. As well as, ideally publisher services, but we can cover all of that with funding, budget as well.
And now I am so happy to introduce one of the most incredible humans in the New York games ecosystem, I think. I spent a lot of time gassing her up, so I don't need any notes for this, but Jay Watts is the CEO and founder of Coexist Gaming. She is also a Stanford-educated engineer and a beautiful human, a Grammy-nominated singer, a professional sommelier and restaurateur, and a pile of other things. Very impressive human. Please come up.
I feel like I just accepted an award. EE's friendship is my reward. Thank you all so much for being here. All right, the clock is ticking. All right, we're gonna dive into this thing. Thank you all so much for being here. We gamify stuff. You see it. We are essentially a tech and gamification agency that builds physical and digital infrastructure. Our goal is to sustain scalable ecosystems. And so there are really 3 verticals to Coexist Gaming. I kind of have my phone as my second screen monitor over here, so I'm gonna take this. I'm used to performing with the mic anyway. But so we have 3 different verticals to the company. Our game house, which gets a lot of the bells and whistles, it's shiny. We have a co-working video game bar and lounge in Midtown. Started this thing in my Brooklyn apartment, and the goal was to create safe spaces because there just weren't enough of them that were really representative of the kind of inclusiveness that we wanted as gamers, right? We had to chase the conventions all over the world to find people that like the same things we like. It's like, I want to be an anime character on Tuesday, so I'm gonna cosplay, right? But we had to pay a whole bunch of money to do that. So we wanted to build spaces that would allow us to coexist in the ways that we wanted to. So this is the first ever membership-based place. You can go to the website or talk to me after. The prices are super affordable. We did that on purpose because we prioritize community. The extrapolation of that is actually Coexist Productions, where we do large-scale activations. And then, of course, we have Coexist Studios because we build games. And when we were thinking of the game house, though, it mattered that we launched something called the community-powered economy. What does that even mean? A lot of times, you know, you go to different places and they may have a membership and they reach outside of the community in order to bring events in there, right? Except everyone here does something amazing, and we wanted to highlight you and amplify your voice and understand how we could contribute, how we could provide resources and access, whatever level of infrastructure that looked like. That's what we wanted to provide. And so our community literally does power our economy. And what that means and kind of how we started building this ecosystem. So we took a video game, but one of the things we realized we needed to do was disrupt the preconceived notions, not only about who we were as gamers, but most importantly, what we did. And so if you at any point ask someone, hey, does anybody want to build a video game? How do you do that? And people are like, you have to code it. We're like, yeah, absolutely. But what do you love most about it? Oh, I love the characters. So why didn't you talk about the art? And so we realized we had to start educating people about the nuances of what it looked like. And this is an example of what this looks like in terms of the space and that community-powered economy, from tournaments to building the games to music in the games. We have a music studio, podcast area, again, providing those resources. And so then the activation, again, just an extrapolation of that. We've done some really cool stuff, but why this is relevant here is because funding was always a point of contention, something that we needed access to. And so we realized that if we targeted the non-endemic brands that wanted to be in front of us, the largest concentration of human beings on the planet as gamers, then we were able to leverage the dollars that they had siphoned in their company to allocate exclusively for gaming. And as a result, we were able to create opportunities for the gaming community. At the same time, help those businesses reach their KPIs. And then the games and tech part, Coexist Studios, we build games, but our goal in building the games is not necessarily to monetize them in terms of direct to consumer. We more so leverage them to show the cross section of where pop culture and gaming coexist. Why? Because we want to help exchange the narrative. We also want to focus on the community we build and be able to employ them so that they can have those games. But these are an example of some of the games that we've built with different game jams, which we have our trademark called Dev Ciphers, which highlight a lot of creative opportunities in the development process. But then this little thing in the middle is, and I'm giving shout outs to my creative lead over there, he's also filming me, but we built the Kendrick Lamar video game. So we took the Drake hype and we built a game that was in the middle of it and got 2.196 million plays in 2 days and a lot of free press. And as a result, thank you, but the cool thing is we got to leverage that into more conversations, more games, and now we're building other games for other artists. But most importantly, we get to leverage your studios in order to introduce those games to a very broad audience. And then there's the tech that we build. So our ask, one, is, of course, your support. Come to the space, check out the membership. At the end of the day, we want you to know there are spaces available for you. Shout out to the IGDA, to literally Gumbo, Playcrafting, who I'm gonna introduce, Tilt, and so many amazing studios, people who have come to a place that was designed for us, literally by us. We are an entire diaspora, and it matters that we learn how to collaborate and coexist with each other. This is the app that we're building. We are raising capital, so if there are any institutional lenders in here, we can have a great conversation, but I will open the door for questions if you have them. You can also scan this code to let us know how you're interested, more specifically, whether you have a studio or you're an investor or whatever. Any questions? No? We're good? I said all the things? All right, cool. Scan that code up there. Well, I think that's it. I'm going to introduce the next person. Cool beans. I am really excited. I jumped the gun. I am excited to introduce Ney, my fellow Dominicano. But Phynd is actually a subscription-free smart TV gaming experience. We had a great opportunity to partner with them to curate their first activation at GDC last month. It was phenomenal. And Ney, get on up here. Habla con la gente. Thank you all so much.
Hello. Well, first of all, thank you, Jay, so much. You're amazing. Hello to everyone else. My name is Ney Castro, and I am the Vice President of Player Engagement and Web3 Strategies for Phynd. We're a new gaming company. We're a smart TV gaming experience. We just closed our seed round in February, and we officially launched at GDC out of stealth, just like Jay was talking about. So I don't know if you know this, but over the last 5 years, there have been more smart TVs sold than PCs and consoles combined, over 500 million. So Phynd is the first free cloud gaming platform built natively for smart TVs. So we deliver high-quality games instantly to millions of new players and households directly on their TV. So there are no downloads, there are no consoles, there are no fees, just enjoy and play. And that's what we think all players want, right? Easy access to their games. So again, we're a smart TV gaming platform. We're ad-supported, we're built on the cloud. We give you access to a new audience. You can play instantly, no downloads. You can play anywhere with the internet, and there's no need for expensive hardware. Now, we've spoken to hundreds of game developers and thousands of players. We asked them all the same question. What's your biggest challenge? Game developers told us it's discoverability, user acquisition, and revenue. Players told us it's tough to find good games, and gaming is getting expensive. And that all makes sense, right? The market's saturated, competition is fierce, gaming is getting more expensive, and it's hard for good games to stand out. And that's where we come in. So Phynd, as a smart TV gaming platform, we're a native app on smart TVs, which means we're featured on the home screen. So as soon as you turn the TV on, you will see our app. That gives us access and visibility. That gives our gaming partners access and visibility. And it makes it easy for players to find cool new games. Now we know it's not just about being on smart TVs, right? It's about understanding the modern player. The modern player is someone who's natively digital, right? Gaming is just another form of digital entertainment. They seamlessly switch between social media, streaming, and video games. And we get that, right? And we know that as soon as they touch our app, it has to be a joyous experience. It's all about the user experience. So we built our platform from the ground up. We're more like a Netflix type of experience where you can easily navigate our platform with just a remote control. Discovery is fun. We have featured games on our platform, but we also have clips, streams, reels, and quests. We try to build an overall gaming experience. And we also know how important social is. So we built strong social features into our platform. So overall, what we're building is something that's free, it's easy, it's social, and it's on demand. And that's our vision for the future of gaming, and that's Phynd. Thank you. So I have a couple seconds left, but any questions from the audience?
Hi, so you mentioned that you'd be able to play with just your remote, but is there also support for controllers?
Yeah. So we wanted to create like the least amount of friction possible. So we're going to have an array of games on our platform. Some where you can just play with your remote control, right? As soon as you turn on your smart TV, you can play. But we're also building games where you use a Bluetooth regular controller. So in some games in the future, we'll also have a smart kind of phone companion as well. But our focus will be controller, remote control, and then smart kind of your smartphone as well.
great presentation. Quick question for you is, are all the games like single player games, or are you able to play with other people online?
Yeah, good question. So we're building a platform. It's like smart TVs, right? So it's that living room experience, family gaming. So we'll have party games, local co-op, right? But there's also a group of people who we kind of call the Nintendo dad, which is funny. There are people who just can't keep up with like the Switches and the PlayStation 5 Pros and how much it costs. But we're still going to have enough games to cater to that audience, the serious gamers as well. So we'll have multiplayer, right, as well. We'll have kind of mainstream games. So we're going to have a broad array of games on our platform to cater to a broad audience. But we think casual and party games will be a big part of what we do.
So you mentioned that there's gaming, streaming clips, etc. What type of infrastructure does Phynd have to support such a diverse experience for the users? Because I imagine that it's fairly difficult to have teams focused on each one of those areas and being able to give them their full attention.
Yeah, well, we have a team of almost 50 people, right? Most of us developers. We're working with major cloud services, AWS and others. It's all about cloud services to kind of build out the platform. So that kind of brings you to timeline, right? So our alpha is at the end of this quarter, early next quarter, beta to follow. And our entire engineering team is just like heads deep in building out the platform. Priority number one is video games. Priority number one, right? But we also understand, like I said, that we're not just a game launcher. We're not just a port over of a console or a PC. I mean, you know who our competitors are, right? The Xboxes and the Lunas, right? They're just games. And we know that the modern gamer needs more than that. They just do. So we're building out the entire platform, first for video games, and then everything else to come out. Everything else to follow, and we're just making sure that social is a big part of what we do as well.
My question is, how would the frame rate and like the playability of these games be affected? Because a lot of the newer, more popular games needed like high intensity, expensive GPUs to run. Yeah. So my thing is like cloud services are not like famous for that being easy to do. So I'm wondering like, how are you tackling this issue differently?
That's a great question. So performance is a big deal for us, right? Now cloud and like AWS, they've all come out with like actual gaming cloud services. So performance has dramatically improved with internet and everything else. We're looking at 1 to 2 frames of delay on our platform, which is top tier. We are, again, for someone who wants to play ranked CSGO, right, ranked level of like Call of Duty, this may not be the perfect platform for them, right? But if you're someone who enjoys just playing for fun and playing casually, which is like 90% of the market, like our performance will be great for them. Like it's actually one of the biggest focuses we have is making sure we have unbelievable performance. And one of our main engineers in our platform was actually one of the engineers for one of our big competitors who is doing cloud gaming right now and has top level performance. So we're considering that and making sure that we can build this to the highest level of perfection. And that's my time. So our ask, if you're a creator, if you're a game developer, if you're a publisher, if you kind of see our vision and kind of believe in what we're doing and like-minded, talk to us, talk to me, go to our website. We have an early partnership program, and we're looking for the first wave of games to be a part of what we're building and be showcased on our platform. And if you're part of a community like Coexist, if you're a player, if you're someone who enjoys content, join us, be a part of our journey. Like follow us on social media, join our Discord, follow our wait list. We have a beta wait list right now. We want your feedback. We want to make sure we're building something that's for the players. And that's it. Thank you very much.
I'm back. I'm actually going, thank you, Nay, that was amazing. Can we give Phynd one more round of applause? Find your game on a smart TV. Hey, hey. I'm gonna introduce the next speaker. I happen to also love her. There's so many gaming hotties, and she's another one. She goes by the name of Christy with an I and a Y, and she's with Playcrafting. personally, Playcrafting has facilitated some of the most incredible game development experiences over decades of their existence. So they deserve all the things. Play NYC is super lit if you guys haven't been. Christy, get on up here, girl. She's amazing. My fellow gaming hottie.
Wow, thank you, Jay. I appreciate you so much. Jay's a tough act to follow, considering her slides were so good. I did not submit any slides. I realized this morning I did not submit my slides, and I had time to either submit my slides or submit my taxes. And I did my taxes. So the deadline's tomorrow, by the way. But I would like to tell you about Playcrafting and Play NYC. I'm Christy Pride. I'm the executive director for Playcrafting. And we are a community org, and we focus on providing events, resources, and paid opportunities for developers and small studios. We also do Play NYC, which, just like the Game Devs of Color Expo, is in its 10th year this year, which is really exciting. Play NYC is New York's premier game convention. It's the biggest game convention in New York. We focus on providing a good experience for indies and small studios. Throughout Play NYC's history, we have been at smaller venues, and we would see about 2,000 to 4,000 people across a 2-day weekend. And we have recently moved Play NYC to the Javits Center, and we now see 100K people over a 3-day weekend. So this is obviously very good for indie devs and small studios looking to showcase what they're working on or promote their game. Play NYC and Playcrafting focuses on both digital games and tabletop games. So if you're interested in either sponsoring, showcasing, or attending Play NYC, you can find me after. But I would like to now bring up Julian, who is a co-founder from Turbo.
What is up? Thank you, Christy. My name's Julian. I'm one of the co-founders of Turbo. Turbo is a 2D sprite-based game engine that's designed to make games really fast. Now, making games is awesome. I mean, a lot of us know it in the crowd, but what we also know is that it can be kind of slow. If you're new to it, it can be a little difficult, and sometimes it can even get kind of expensive. So we noticed that and thought that was a little broken, and we built Turbo to help. Now, Turbo is a game engine that lets you go from idea to prototype in as little as 20 minutes. It supports any WASM language that you'd be interested in writing in. We have an official Rust SDK, and we plan to launch Lua and JavaScript support later this year. And we have a bunch of modern tooling, like collaboration tools, AI code gen, if you're new, that'll really help you get started out. And best of all, at least for me, we have a really, really fast compiler that lets you see your changes that you're making in your game, like basically in real time. And last but not least, it's free, and you can deploy anywhere you want. So once your game is live, we also help you make it social. You can plug into our backend called Turbo OS, and that lets you spin up multiplayer without having to write any lines of networking code. So what that means is that you can add leaderboards to your game, you can let people play cooperatively anywhere in the world, and you can push over-the-air updates to keep your content within your game fresh. We have a dashboard as well that you can use so that you can debug or see what's really engaging your players. And when your game's out there and it's growing and you're ready to scale, we got your back. You can use our infrastructure to keep out bots and cheaters. You can plug into our social graph so that your players can bring their friends. And you can plug into a bunch of modern APIs like MCP, or AI APIs, Web3 APIs, if that's your thing. Or you can make your game composable so that your players can mod it and remix it. Now, I could talk about Turbo for hours, but you've already been listening to a lot of presentations, so I think the easiest thing for you to do to learn more about what it's capable of is to play one of our games. I'm not sure if you've seen one of these before, but it's a QR code. If you click on it, you'll be able to go to one of our games called Dungeon Dash. Dungeon Dash was actually made by my co-founder, Josiah. who's over on the side at our table. And it's a roguelite dungeon crawler. And you can play single player and compete for a spot on a leaderboard, or you can play cooperatively with your friends. So if you're ready to build or you're ready to play, our ask is that you check us out at www.turbo.computer. You can follow us on any socials where our handle is @MakeGamesFast, or you can join our Discord where we're always around. We're happy to hop on like an audio chat if you need help getting started or if you run into any issues. So yeah, let's make games fast and let's make them together. If there's any questions, happy to answer any. Oh, yep, over here I think there's one. Mic incoming.
Again, thank you for everyone sharing, and thank you for sharing Turbo. My question for you is, would you say this is primarily for programmers, or can this be for teenagers who are looking to build games as well?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So we tried to design it to be as wide-ranging as possible in terms of for folks with different backgrounds. So we actually have some folks in the community who are brand new to programming, like just picking it up for the first time, picking up game development for the first time, and they've used Turbo to learn about programming and game development at the same time. We have some folks who are like artists or visual storytellers, and they're using it to make like visual novels. So they're not really doing crazy like game programming, but instead they're kind of using it as a really nice, very lightweight template to tell the stories they want to tell. And then we totally have like some brainiacs who are doing crazy, programming stuff in there. But what's nice is that our community is very kind of open, and they tend to share a lot of the tools that they make, so that if you want to implement some cool features into your game that you've seen in other games, you can typically find them in our Discord server.
Hi, thank you for presenting tonight. I'm curious, I saw on one of the earlier slides you mentioned compatibility with WASM programming languages. I've never heard of that, so I'm curious what that is. I also saw you mentioned a Rust SDK, and I'm curious why that's one language you decided to do like first as opposed to getting to that later.
Yeah, it's a great question. So WASM, or WASM, stands for WebAssembly, and it's basically a compiler language that you can use in the browser that is really lightweight, lets you deploy in a bunch of different places. So you'll notice that Dungeon Dash is actually, you can play it on your phone, and it's pretty sleek, and you can also play it on your browser at your desktop, so that's kind of why we picked WASM. We picked Rust. We were really familiar with Rust, and Rust is actually kind of a nice language to use because it's very safe, meaning you can deploy a game and it's not going to crash. Rust will kind of hold your hand through making sure that it's stable. But like I'm like a total smooth brain, like don't know a lot about software development, and I learned Rust by using Turbo. I was a JavaScript developer before this, like not a very good one, but I was a JavaScript developer. And so I'm partial to JavaScript, and so we're going to add that because a lot of folks learn JavaScript as like their first language, and it's just something that's got a lot of support online. And then we want to add Lua later, because like Lua is super fun if you've ever used Pico 8 or a bunch of other engines. So eventually we're going to open source the engine, and hopefully more communities will add their own language. We're definitely not trying to gatekeep with languages or anything like that. But yeah, we felt like this was a good place to start, and it's gone well so far. I'd like to reiterate, a lot of folks are coming at it, game development and coding for the first time with Turbo, and they're having a great experience. So if you're interested, don't let the Rust or the language part hold you back. Oh, I think there's one back there.
Hi, sorry. I wanted to ask, because this is I'm moving my hands if no one could see that, but it's like this is a plug and play sort of deal with Turbo, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how deep you want to go, but it's very easy to get started. Yeah, it's and we're trying to make it simpler and simpler every day.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, would you, in the far future, I'm not talking about tomorrow, but I would, but would you try to have at least 3D support, or have engines that can do 3D, like primitive,
yeah,
i.e. Star Fox on the N64?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. So We have there's kind of two parts of Turbo. There's a front end that lets you make the game and the back end that lets you make it social. For that back end, what we want to do later this year is add plugins for Unity and probably Phaser as well, so that folks that are doing things like 3D and other engines can still use parts of Turbo. And then eventually, we're definitely not against adding 3D to Turbo, the front end game engine itself. Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much. Definitely come by, grab some stickers or some shirts for free. We're right over there.
We'll give it to him later. All right, don't forget that. All right. Awesome, guys. Big round of applause for everybody. Thank you so much. Each company will be in the back of the room, so afterwards, just feel free to hook up with them and continue the conversation, okay? Let's see. So we have a little bit of time left. Before we conclude, I'd like to invite anybody up to the stage to pose their own ask offer. We'll take a few minutes to do that. And any takers? Come on up. Come on up. Yay!
Sorry, going on the stage made me nervous all of a sudden. But so my name's Amy Patterson. So I'm with this nonprofit called Urban Arts. And so thank you. So we do game development and game design with like middle school, high school, like as this pathway to college and career. And a lot of our students, we provide opportunities to like have mentorships and to have people like coming in and doing what we call discovery hubs this year, where it's like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want to help support your students, but I can't commit to like meeting regularly for a mentorship. So we've been doing these discovery hubs where people can come in for like 45 minutes. We've had some really cool people, but one thing the students are asking for is more people in games. So this seems like a great place to ask. If there's anyone interested in that, please come find me after this. All right, thank you.
Who else? Anybody? We just got one? Come on up. Who else raised their hand? Come on up now. Oh, Georgie.
Hello. How are y'all doing? Woo? Yeah? Okay. I go by the name of Richie Branson. I'm originally from Texas, if you couldn't tell. And this is my first time being at something like this in New York, and it is absolutely amazing. Everybody that went up here had something really awesome to offer, and it was just beautiful to be able to witness that. I work with Jay over at Coexist, and that's what brings me to the Big Apple, and it's been an amazing experience. So I really only have two asks. One, feel free to come to our table and find out what we're about, find out more information. But two, and the biggest ask is that y'all keep doing what you're doing, because it's absolutely incredible and it's inspiring. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Georgianne, but everyone calls me Georgie. Can everybody raise their hand again at this year's first New York Tech Meetup? All right, so just look around the room and see that you're not alone. There's a lot of people here. So my very first New York Tech Meetup was back in 2014 with my son Cameron over there. And earlier you saw some logos of the sponsors and partners of the New York Tech Meetup. My company, GSD Solutions, was up there. We are an IT as well as tech advisory firm, B2B tech advisory firm. So we help you out with all things IT, AV, as well as event technology. But I'm saying all this to say I'm also on the board of the New York Tech Meetup. And I've been on the board for the last 3 years. And since we've moved to this new space, every month we're trying to get this space even more packed. So if you came tonight, I really want to ask that you invite 2-3 people that you know to come back next month. This is happening every single month, different themes, different topics. When I first came to New York Tech Meetup, it was not too far from here, down by NYU, and it was hundreds of people. And it was a really fun experience. The pandemic kind of took us down a notch, right? This is about maybe 100 are in here right now, but I'd love to see the room get packed the way it was when I first started coming. So that is my ask. I know Doug's not gonna ask that directly, so I wanted to come up here and make that ask because I think this space, this opportunity that we have here can be really huge, but it takes everyone participating, coming, inviting people, and slowly we could get back to that point. So that's my ask. Tell 2 to 3 people, and you come back next month as well. Bring your friend, bring your kids, bring your cousins, whoever, even if they're not in tech, it's a great space for everybody.
Hear, hear, Georgie. Thanks. I love active board members. Okay, anybody else going once? Oh, we've got one right here.
Hi, hi. My name's David Beattie. I'm working on a project to do a demo day for non-profits to pitch to rich people and people who might get involved. I'd love to find a way to actually gamify it somehow on the day. So if anybody's interested in working with me on that, or anybody interested in learning more about what we're doing and who's helping us, please let me know. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Thomas Logan. Great to be at NYTech Meetup. I'm very passionate about accessibility for people with disabilities. So gaming, you know, it's one of these areas where there's so many opportunities. There's so many places to make changes. When you're designing games and you're thinking about how to make games work for people, think about everyone. When you make it work for everyone, everyone wants to play your game. So I am very passionate about having people. I have a meetup also in New York, and we've co-organized with NYTech Meetup, Ali NYC. If you're interested or like are working on a game that considers features for people with disabilities, come meet me as well. Thanks.
Okay. You got one? Okay, come on up, Tim.
Hi, my name's Tim. Excuse the social anxiety, but I'm working on a docuseries about the New York game dev scene. So if you're interested, come talk to me. I'll be around here and at events, usually wearing a yellow hat. So that's how you'll find me otherwise. But anyway, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Richard Jones. I'm from the New York Public Library's Tech Connect team. We do free tech education for adults 18 plus, everything from computer basics up to video game programming. And we have an upcoming game day, but we also are trying to work on just gaming in general and the celebration of gaming. We've had some bumps in the road, but we've received great support from Kat in previous years for our last year's game day, and we do our yearly retreat at Coexist. So if you guys have any interest in supporting games in the New York Public Library, we've recently gotten our teen department involved in it as well. So I'll be around in the back if you guys want to kind of partner with me in the library in any ways of bringing gaming to New York City residents.
Okay, let's see. Well, our next meetup, everyone, is going to be on Monday, May 12th. We'll be partnering with the wonderful Ms. Jian Horn, who's here. Jian is founder and executive director of Give Beauty Wings, and she's a powerhouse advocate for the disability community and a dear friend. And details will be shared soon, and registration will open, and we hope to see you there, okay? That's it. That ends this evening's event, and go forth, eat, drink, and network and connect, okay? Hope to see you. Thank you.